welcome to the third Explicit Gamer Podcast. I'm Dave, aka Shadow Turian.
And I'm John, aka my newly founded PSN alias, Aliferous.
We want to start by saying that we hope all our listeners had an awesome Christmas and a very good New Year. Right, now moving on to the games.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about the following upcoming releases.
The brand new PS3 exclusive Twisted Metal, sequel to Twisted Metal Black on PS2.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, the newest iteration in the Metal Gear series.
Kojima's upcoming Project Ogre, an open-world game from the Metal Gear Solid creator.
New DLC heading to Modern Warfare 3.
And finally, information on the upcoming mecha franchise Bioshock Infinite.
Right, let's get the show on the road.
Twisted Metal is a franchise that started its days on PS1. It's a vehicle combat game that features some rather outlandish creations from the developer, with a rather dark undertone to the premise of the game.
The series currently features 7 games, with the 8th instalment making its way to the PS3 February 14th of this year. Recently, we've had some rather exciting news that the PS3 iteration is going to not only feature the newest game, but also the PS2 game, Twisted Metal Black, as a free download. This should give players even more incentive to buy the game if they haven't played the PS2 iterations of Twisted Metal. Twisted Metal Black is also going to feature trophies, which should be good for people who like collecting.
The PS3 version of the game will also feature 16-player online, with split screen up to four people, also playable online.
Noticing that they've included split screen is obviously to try and bring some of the franchise's veterans back, with them noticing that old features are still being included in the latest game. Should also be a hell of a lot of fun with friends around joining in on the action.
I say I've not really read much about it, to be honest. I've kind of...
It's kind of gone under the radar slightly. I mean, it's not really... They've not really had a lot of information since its reveal at one of the E3s. I think it was like 2 years ago.
I don't think I've ever played... Actually, I think I played the first Twisted Metal on PS1, only because I had the demo.
Yeah, I think I was the same. I think it was on one of the demo discs included with the official PlayStation magazine.
I think I did the demo for the PS2 version as well.
Yeah, I do like the look of it though. It's got a kind of a certain kind of look to it and feel as well. There's meant to be, I don't know whether there's going to be a story or not, but there's definitely going to be single player within it, obviously. But
I can't imagine how they're going to make a story in that.
I know, yeah, vehicle combat. But then again, they've kind of made a story with Motorstorm Apocalypse, and that's sort of the same thing, isn't it? Kind of in a way, but it's racing instead of combat.
What the hell would the story consist of? This guy crashed into your wife's car.
Yeah.
Go and blow it up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know whether it's going to be that shallow, but you know, it should include some sort of background story to try and keep the narrative going throughout the game, so it gives you an incentive to keep playing, really. But I think the main focus is the online. I mean, 16-player online with vehicle combat should be a hell of a lot of fun.
I think, by the sounds of it, it's going to be a competitor for Motorstorm. Yeah.
I think that's probably the closest thing, but then again, it's not really a competitor since it's being published by Sony as well. So, you know, it's not really a competitor as such. But
two different genres in a way.
Yeah, I mean, Motorstorm's more focused on the racing, isn't it? The racing side of things as opposed to the combat. But it does feature some combat like playable, like gameplay, basically. The ability to blow up others' cars to win the race. But I don't think it's really what this game is about. Twisted Metal is more about the fact that, you know, just destroying other players, really. But I think that the online is going to be the big thing in this one, because I mean, I don't think any of the other games featured online. I mean, PS2 versions might have featured net play, but I don't know whether they actually did. I didn't play any of the ones on PS2.
I don't think I ever did any net play for any PS2.
No, I don't think anybody could afford the hard drive.
I never had it.
It was rather hard to get into the whole online system with the PS2. I mean, it wasn't orientated like the Xbox, because the original Xbox was kind of orientated around Xbox Live. I mean, they were pushing it quite a lot even back then.
I'd like to try the demo when they bring that out for it.
Yeah. I don't know whether I'm right with this, but I think they did actually release a Twisted Metal on the original Xbox. I think it might have been a PS2 port.
Oh, yeah.
But it makes sense, but, you know.
I can't imagine they're going to get their hands on this one.
Yeah, but that might have been quite good, because they might have ported it to the Xbox, and the Xbox might have had Xbox Live connections, which means that, you know...
You got to actually try the online properly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's all for Twisted Metal for now, but as soon as we hear any more information about the game, we'll post it either on the site or mention it in a future podcast, so stay tuned.
Moving on to the newest iteration in the Metal Gear series, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. The game is going to feature a side story that includes Raiden as a main character.
It is also being developed by Platinum Games instead of the usual Konami and Kojima studios.
It is also going to be a departure from the series in terms of combat too. As opposed to previous games in the series which concentrated solely on stealth and tactical gameplay, Rising is going to feature close-up melee combat involving Rising's sword. There's also a lot riding on the precision, with sword swipes taking off enemies' limbs, etc.
Gore has also been shown off in the trailers that have been released for the game, so much so that the people are questioning whether it's going to get an age rating certification in some strict countries around the world.
Yeah, I've seen it. The gore is pretty bad. I mean,
I like gore.
I like gore as well. It's cool in games, but there is countries out there like, well, for example, Australia, which just banned every game with any slight amount of gore in, or they'll release a really watered down version of the game, which probably won't do it any favours.
It's kind of a pain in the neck for developers though, because they've got to redevelop basically just for Australia.
Exactly. And I mean, Australia, it was like the whole Left 4 Dead 2 thing, wasn't it? Do you remember that? They released a version in Australia which didn't include any gore whatsoever. The zombies didn't appear on the ground when you killed them. They disappeared. Yeah,
Gone.
I don't see how that... that's just creating more work for the developers, purely on the aspect of, gore.
I don't understand why Australia are so strict on it.
I don't understand why that... I mean... Surely they should be less strict than the UK, for example, with all the happenings that we've had in this country. But I mean, what kind of zombie apocalypses have happened in Australia?
None. Most of them are Africa or cities. Never in Australia. I wonder why. Because they're not liked by the bloody ratings.
Exactly. And who's going to run around with an electrified sword chopping off people's limbs? How is that realistic in any way?
I'm gonna get a battery powered katana and run around like a crazed madman.
Okay, fair enough. I'm moving away now.
Yeah. I've actually been looking forward to this game for a while. I mean, I didn't realise that it had changed its name until about 2 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, the whole name change thing was a bit. It
wasn't exactly publicised.
It came out right wing, really. I mean, I didn't really see it coming, and they didn't. The development was apparently put on halt for quite a long time, hence why they switched developers, hence why Platinum Games are doing it now. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know whether that's such a good idea, because I mean, the reason why Metal Gear games were so good was because of Kojima's input, and that's.
I heard rumours when it was first being thought of that he didn't even want anything to do with it because it was going to be on Xbox as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't really understand that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I kind of wish they weren't getting it, but
yeah, but at the same time,
biased.
At the same time, it's from an unbiased point of view, it's more revenue for them.
Yeah,
it's not just the money though; it's also the fact that they're going to get more people playing their game. That's what they want. They want the feedback, don't they? I mean, that's what a developer wants from their game, anyway.
Yeah,
and I think that's pretty much it, anyway. If any more information becomes available about the exciting-looking entry into the Metal Gear franchise, we'll be sure to let you know.
Keep checking on the site, as always. Moving on to the latest project under Hideo Kojima's team, information about this project is currently rather sparse, but we wanted to mention it because the droplets of information that we have managed to attain make the game sound really interesting.
According to Kojima himself, the aim of the project is to create the game that is very open-ended. Obviously, this means it's going to have an open world and very open-ended gameplay.
Also, this is apparently going to transfer over to the story too, so expect some moral choices of some sort that affect the game's world and story greatly depending on which ones you make.
Even though this sort of game has been created before, none have ever been created by Metal Gear Solid creator Kojima, a celebrity in the gaming industry for his stunning games.
I've got to say, I haven't heard anything about this before, but I've got to say, just from what we've seen about it, it does sound rather interesting. I mean, especially if it does like a Mass Effect 1 and 2 kind of thing, where they actually transfer the moral choices over into a sequel of the game. I know I'm jumping ahead a bit going for a sequel.
Jumping for a sequel of a project, hasn't even got a name yet.
Yeah,
but, yeah, I know what you mean. It should be quite interesting if they manage this moral choice system well. This should go very well. And also, I mean, I know that these moral choices aren't really confirmed, to be honest, but he's saying that it's going to be very open-ended.
Yeah.
Now, open-ended usually means moral choices because you need moral choices to affect the story, to make the story tailored to your own experience.
Going by Kojima's games before, though, it should be really good. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 4, that was amazing.
I know, yeah. I mean, if his linear games are anything to go by, an open-ended game, it's going to be limitless. Limitless amounts of fun. And also, we haven't even heard anything about online modes or whatever. I mean, Metal Gear Solid's online. Metal Gear Online was a very good system once you got it to work. Because it was quite awkward.
I mean, I was looking at pictures of it before, and I've got to say the graphics look amazing. It looks like it uses the same facial recording system that they use for LA Noire. It looks like that sort of style.
So, like, very realistic then.
Yeah, but it looks slightly better than what LA Noire did, as in, like, the kind of the detail aspect, rather than the faces actually going a bit blurry when they start to talk.
Also, LA Noire's problem was the fact that the bodies didn't match the facial recognition, so the bodies looked a bit static, whereas the faces looked amazing.
The faces moved as well before the head moved.
Yeah, exactly, which was a bit weird. But, but anyway, going off the topic a bit here, but basically I think Kojima, it's Kojima.
Going by Kojima.
It's going to be amazing. Whatever it turns out to be, whatever he plans with it, whatever he has planned with it, we don't even know yet. He's not going to confirm. He's quite tight-lipped.
Betting that most of our listeners probably haven't heard of it, it's probably a game to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as we know more about it, we will keep posted on the site.
And also, if they actually reveal a name for it, we will actually put it on the site.
Yeah.
You know, telling you what it's called, so you can keep track of it on all the different websites.
We'll have our own little mini press release.
Yep, we will indeed.
This game does actually present a very intriguing premise, and we hope to be talking about more information as and when it becomes available. It'll either be through a future podcast or a blog post on the website.
Up until now, people around the world have been enjoying Modern Warfare 3's multitude of multiplayer modes online and with friends. But people who forked out for the £40 a year Elite Premium subscription-based service have been awaiting the arrival of the first of their years free of downloadable content. New information has been revealed about the map pack, including a date for release, the 24th of this month.
New information includes Infinity Ward confirming that a screenshot for the DLC released last month of a park with a featured fountain in the middle. This screenshot has been revealed to be part of a new map called Park, based in New York City's Central Park.
According to the developers, this is going to be the first in a line of reveals leading up to the release of the pack. Going off previous DLC for predecessors in the series, the map pack should include at least 5 maps with a variety of locales and settings. Also, expect some new weapons to be included in the pack as is the norm.
Yeah, I mean, they always do include a few new weapons, maybe some new perks.
Yeah, I mean, they usually do pretty well, but then again, the packs are usually about 1,200 points each, which is quite hefty for a map pack. And they only usually include, 4 or 5 maps? I think the first Black Ops one was like 4 maps, and it cost 1,200 points.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really include anything else apart from perks.
Yeah, I think they're just ridiculously overpriced. I mean, it's probably worth actually having the Elite just to get the free downloads.
Exactly. I mean, that's going to save you a hell of a lot of money. £40 a year, but, at the same time, that's £40.
The thing is, it all depends how much they space them out. Otherwise, you've got to pay 80 quid and you might only get one map pack in the second year.
Exactly. It's not going to work very well if...
It's just boasting that they've got exclusive competitions and blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. It's just basically the Elite service is just another way to get money out of their subscribers, really.
Even though this is only a snippet of information about the pack, expect significant information reveals for the other maps included before its release. An obvious choice for any true gamer out there, the newest entry into the Bioshock series of games, since its reveal in August of 2011, it has received much praise for its amazing visuals, seemingly very interesting characters and awesome setting.
Speaking of the setting, the interest concerns the fact that it is unlike previous entries in the series, which were set in the secret underwater city of Rapture, because it is set within a city called Columbia, being elevated above land by blimps and huge balloons.
Even though the setting and also characters have changed for this game, the gameplay is going to remain the same, with it being in first-person perspective and including powers earned through finding vigors and potions in the game world.
A new element to the gameplay, though, is the method of travel. Players can now make their way around the stunning setting using grapple hooks to ride along huge twisting rails, which are basically entitled the Skyline, that help reach areas that aren't accessible by foot. This should provide some wow moments when it comes to viewing the scenery and buildings that surround you as you play through the story and make the travelling more engaging for the player.
I've got to say, I haven't read much on it. I mean, I was quite interested when I first saw the release for it, and I wanted to keep track of it, but it kind of seemed to take a while.
The good thing is for you is it's not really related to Bioshock 1 or 2 apart from the gameplay.
I mean, I've got Bioshock 2.
Yeah, well, you saw it, but I mean, you don't need to have played all 3 games to know
get it
exactly what it is. played Bioshock 1 and 2 to carry on with the story. It's not really a continuing story. It's completely different setting, completely different characters. But I expect there's going to be some relations in it. I mean, they were very... With Bioshock 1 and 2, there was little like references to the previous game within it, into Bioshock 1.
I've got to say, I've got to say, I like the idea of the skyline. I mean, it's kind of like the Ratchet and Clank thing where you had the Magna boots and you could go along the grind rails, and it was like the scenery was really good.
Well, that was one of the highlights of that game. I mean, it's going to be a highlight of this game. I mean, when they did the gameplay demonstration, I think it was E3 2010 or it might be 2011. They did a gameplay trailer, quite a long one, and it was significant. Showed you quite a big portion of the game. Well, not a significant portion. I mean, they're not going to ruin it for you, but it showed enough of the game to reveal a few new features, like, for example, the skyline. And when I personally first saw the skyline, I was really impressed with it. I mean, it's really cool. It's quite a good way of seeing all the different scenery and the locales, the setting, basically. And it's also quite scary in a way, because you're massively elevated above sky and clouds and things like that, and it's quite freaky to see that far above it, hanging by what's basically a metal hook.
Yeah. I've got since I first saw it, I've got to say, in the first trailer I did see for it, I thought it looked really good as it was when when it was first announced. I've got to say, the trailer looked amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, they when they announced it, when they released that trailer, they did stress that this was pre-alpha, so it was very early build.
And it's very good looking for pre-alpha.
I know, yeah, it looked amazing. It looked complete at pre-alpha. Now, we don't even know what it's going to look like by the time it's released. It's not due for release until the end of this year. Now, by the end of this year, they could have done unlimited amount of things with it. I mean, it's going to look a lot better by the time it comes out. And basically, what they've done is, with Bioshock 1 and 2, they basically got a kind of heavily modified version of the Unreal Engine 2. Now, with their sights for this game, it wasn't really cutting it. So they've moved on to the Unreal Engine 3 now, and they've modified that, the lighting, things like that, to make it look a lot better. And it does show. I mean, it looks so much better than most things out there that run on the Unreal Engine 3. I mean, it's really impressive.
Yeah. Right, anyway, we're going to have to move on. I mean, there is a lot more information to talk about with this game that we're not going to include in just one episode of the podcast, largely considering its massive scope. But stay tuned for upcoming podcasts where we'll be talking more about the features that make this game one of the franchises to watch this year. Well, that's all for this podcast, so until next time, happy gaming. And don't forget, you can discuss everything mentioned in the podcast on the forum. You can even suggest anything you want to be featured in the next podcast by contacting me via PM on the site or through Xbox Live at Shadow Turian, and also at PSN at Vigras.
Or me via PM on the site or PSN at Liferous.
To stay up to date with the latest, keep an eye on the site, our Twitter at explicit_gamer, Facebook at the link below, and now on our YouTube page.